Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Enemy here, bringing you my review for One Piece chapter 989. So, yeah, I guess to start off with this chapter, we should talk about the arrival of the numbers in the numbers, which are revealed to be failed attempts at creating the ancient giant race, which, first off, the reveal in itself is a very Oda thing to do because it's very much tying back to Punk Hazard and showing how what was going on in that arc was pretty much still had a pretty much bleed over effect into the world. It's world well, pretty much despite the fact that the Straw Hats ended up stopping the experiments. Like even though they stopped the experiments, that they're what was going on over there was basically already done. Like it had been going on for so long that it makes sense that there would be giants like that there would be artificial giants roaming around, obviously. And for me, it's little reveals like this that also have me saying that on one hand, this definitely gives us further insight into just how far the Vegapunk's experiments and research had developed. And like once again, when it comes to little details like this and showing us like what basically Vegapunk was capable of, it really makes you wonder if he if he even unlocked a way to recreate ancient giants, however flawed they've easily turned out, then what are this guy's limitations in terms of science? And in the laundry list of things he's done and his accomplishments to basically the world government and his scientific endeavors and whatnot, what the fuck hasn't has what the fuck has he not accomplished? Like, what exactly are this motherfucker's What exactly are Vegapunk's limitations? Because right now, Vegapunk is once again continuously proving to be one of the most OP scientists in fiction. Like, not even just in manga or anime, just relatively in fiction. Vegapunk's like genius and scientific knowledge is far fucking beyond what basically should be possible for even a world like One Piece sometimes. So it makes me wonder, like, what exactly are the limitations of this man? What the fuck can't he do? Like, it really just makes me, honest to God, like, wonder what the hell like Vegapunk is going to be like when we actually meet the man in person. Like, genuinely, I want to meet this man. I want to know what exactly he's like, what his limitations are. I just want to know like everything about him now. um, on the other hand, though, just pretty much with the fact. On the other hand, though, even though it gives us more dive into Vegapunk and whatnot, uh, it is still annoying to think that despite having actually gotten rid of Caesar back in Whole Cake Island, that he still in some way or another is causing problems like the pest that he is and always has been. Like really, if you think about it, I'm sure that pretty much Caesar dipped his when it comes to the reveal of the numbers and them being like flawed attempt at creating the ancient giant race, you can just freaking tell that this pretty much has Caesar's fingerprints all over this shit. And it's like, yeah, that annoying little son of a bitch is still causing us problems. Now, so yeah, it's like, Caesar, just fuck off, please. Um, with that being said, the introduction of the numbers does also provide us with some very interesting but subtle plot development in the sense where we see that Big Mom has already taken a peculiar interest in them, and we need to remember one of her own personal goals is to have giants inhabit Whole Cake Island because one of her biggest failures to her is that for as much of a grand paradise as Whole Cake Island is, she basically she's basically failed at getting giants to inhabit the island because of her history with them. So because of that and the introduction of the numbers, this could be a motivator that leads to Big Mom like making an attempt to capture them and basically betraying Kaido in the process. So that could also be a little bit of that could provide maybe a bit of a window in which her betrayal could provide a bit of a bit of an open opportunity for basically the Straw Hats and the rebellion in order to strike, maybe. Um, now, and yeah, while we're on Big Mom, let's talk about the fact that she was taken out again, but this time by Robin and Jinbei. And since last week's chapter, this is definitely, I think, a problem that people seem to be having, which is that Big Mom at this point is everyone's punching bag. And while I can kind of understand that argument, what makes it work for me a little bit more here is because it actually shows a little more of the reason why it's happening, which is that if you really look at what's happening in this chapter and all the times that she's been taken out between Whole Cake Island arc and this arc, the common thread appears to be that Big Mom is just kind of letting her guard down, and in general, her own massive body weight being used against her. So, in that sense, if you really look at it from the sense of Big Mom's own massive body weight being used against her, it actually works. And even if that wasn't the case, to be frank, I can still easily forgive it just for the fact that we finally got a damn Robin moment, guys. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, she has had her moments that show her abilities as a spy, but do I even need to tell you all how long it's been since Robin had a genuinely awesome moment that shows her abilities as a fighter? Like really, like Robin's abilities as a spy throughout the time skip have been on full display, pretty much no contest. But her abilities as a fighter have been showcased have been few and far between. So, like, trust me, if you look through the chapters that have led us to this point, that they have been few and far between. So, to see this again, even if it's through her teaming up with Jinbei, is something that, as a fan of the character, just gets me excited. And honestly, what makes it even better, and honestly even adds to my previous point about how Big Mom was taken out in this chapter, is if you look at the method in which Robin dealt with Big Mom, it actually mirrors how she defeated Yama in Skypiea. So in that sense, it also adds to it really adds to a lot of the validity of how Big Mom was taken out of this chapter, a lot more than how Franky took her out. But yeah, so in that sense, I don't think that there's a whole lot in order to actually really complain about, because if you really look at how she was taken out, it does make sense. um, Also, if you still have a problem with Big Mom getting taken out, then spare a thought for something that Jinbei said in this chapter, which is she'll come back even angrier. That tells me Jinbei right now is a fucking mad fish who's planning to use Big Mom's anger and temper in order to drum up even more chaos and cause just as much, even more trouble for basically the Beast Pirates. So, in that sense, it is kind of brilliant, albeit a dangerous gamble, in order to use Big Mom's own anger to the Straw Hat's advantage. But hey, again, Jinbei's pretty much a Straw Hat at this is basically a member of the Straw Hats now. So constant chaos is the crew's mantra, and what Jinbei is doing right now is pretty much in line with what the Straw Hats would already be doing. So yeah, in that sense, it really kind of in that sense, I think if you look at it from the way I've explained it, I think there's a lot more to kind of admire about this whole thing than you might realize with Big Mom. Now, if I did have one issue with this chapter, it's that it didn't really progress very far. It's just seeing all the chaos and destruction that's happening across Kaido's fortress. However, I think that's also what makes this chapter work despite that, is because it doesn't, even though it doesn't progress very far, it actually uses that time to focus on the dynamics of the Straw Hats and how they play off each other, which I think is just as important as Robin getting her moment again, because one thing I have found in One Piece nowadays is that when Oda does focus on the dynamics of the characters, he mainly shows it through basically the smaller sectional groups of the Straw Hats and them just the occasional little moments with the Straw Hats, with the like two or three members of the Straw Hats teaming up. Whereas but but never really showing them as a whole and how the entire crew works off each other. But in this chapter, and frankly the whole section of the arc on Onigashima has really taken more advantage of that, I feel now, and that group shot of the Strahds like together again, that was just the icing on the cake for me. With that said, we actually do see something else I've wanted for a while now, which is Queen actually fucking doing something and being, and just in general being of use in this chapter. From him just kind of like stopping Luffy and Zoro. So while it might be wishful thinking, I can only cross my fingers right now and hope he actually continues to prove himself to be a legitimate threat than anything he might have done when he first fought Luffy in the prison mine. Otherwise, here's the thing: if Queen doesn't do something, whether it's in a fight with Zoro, a fight with anyone really, I'll have to once again call him out as a scrub, and I really don't want that. I want to see Queen just as much of a threat as King or Jack, but like right now he's just a very, in terms of just his taking him seriously as a threat, he's just very lackluster. So he's got a bit more. So right now he's just got a bit more to prove to me than the others, and I hope he can do that. But but yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Crunchyroll. Dead Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.